You're supposed to Google your birthday and then Florida, and then that story that pops up is like the story that you're supposed to share. Because there's literally a story for every day of the year about a weird Florida.
Story for every minute of every day, every year. Usually involves opioids and alligators, and unfortunately babies. Usually, I don't know why, but it does.
I love you, Florida, though. Yeah.
People are great, just I don't know what it is. I think it's the weather. Phone call. Do you want to do Doom Patrol? I'm like, they're doing Doom Patrol. How cool is that? How many people here have seen it? What is wrong with you? It's like 94% on Rotten Tomatoes. You got, excuse me, you going to talk now? Grown-ups are speaking. Take a breath. Brendan Fraser, Alan Tudyk, Matt Bomer, Timothy Dalton, Joy Van Wade, April Bowlby, Diane Guerrero, and yeah, the list goes on. It is insanely funny. If you just know that an entire town disappears up the arse of a donkey in the second episode. Favourite line, where's your moose? Because it starts in a whole pile of crap. You know about that, right? I was insulting Jared for most of a season. Hop-headed lumberjack, you know, gigantor, giraffe. It was stupid stuff, it didn't make it really work. Morons was funnier. And then it was just this moment in my burnt out shell of a house. I just looked at Dean. I said, where's your moose? He goes, oh, he went, and that was it. That was the end of it. Because he has, like, I don't know if you know, Jared has massive, like, upper body strength. He's very tall, 6'5". But he's got legs like a chicken. He'll punch me when he sees me. But, so it's like, kind of like a moose. It's like, you know, body on sticks. Make sense? Yeah, so, you know what a moose is basically a human killing machine. Elevated to the height of when you're driving a car, it will guarantee go through and kill you and everybody in the car. That's basically what Jared is.
All right, what side were we on before? We're going over here. Yeah, that's right.
On my side. The right side.
Okay, go ahead. What is your question?
Hello, Mark. Welcome to the happiest place on earth.
Squish your head.
I really missed your snark, which is so in evidence today.
It was so funny. Next question. So it's not a question about was I loved or did I love working with who I loved working with. Of course I did. You can't watch the gag reels of 8 years of Supernatural and not know that I loved doing what I was doing. My problem with the situation is I didn't enjoy perhaps the last year or so of the writing for my character. It had nothing to do with the show, nothing to do with the people. It just sort of backed me into a corner where I went from being the smartest character on the show to being the stupidest character on the show. And that wasn't a very good idea as far as I was concerned. And it got more and more difficult to get out of that problem. And there was a showrunner that came in at that point and, you know, basically determined that he didn't either enjoy my character or he wanted to go in a different direction. And that happens. It happens on loads of shows. And the truth of the matter is, they did it, they had the experiment, they did something else, and it's amazing. Some of my friends have worked on the show for the better part of 15 years. That's a long time. I wish them every luck and success, because they work their asses off to try to do the best they can to deliver something fabulous. And I'm very, very glad that I got to spend that amount of time on it. I was probably done, you know, sort of most of the way through season 10. If you really think about it, that would have been a good place to sort of stop. 11 didn't make a lot of sense for me after the Amara stuff, because that slowed up, sped up really quickly, and then had nothing to do with me. They were forgetting to write scenes with me in them. And then 12, I just did the same scene over and over again, poking Lucifer, going, I don't think anything bad's going to happen here. So now suddenly I'm the stupidest person on the planet. It doesn't really work, and it didn't have the whimsy and the fun that it had in the beginning. And I'm sure, you know, if you're running a show, You got to try stuff that's new and try to make it interesting and try to make it whatever. And they have limited budgets, and paying me and paying 3 other new actors obviously was too expensive for them. But I don't do windows. I don't go back and do little guest star shots to go, fill in some problems because people, miss me. It doesn't work like that. It works as I was a series regular on it. They had an option for season 13. They didn't pick it up. I'm very grateful for what I had. I said thank you to all my friends. I said goodbye to all my friends. And it was a wonderful experience. But to try to look for a negative in there is so unnecessary. It really isn't any. There's no gossip or difficulty or whatever in there at all. It's kind of uninteresting. What I will tell you though is in the 8 years of doing that, we created something around us that was incredibly special. I make fun of Misha on a minute-to-minute basis, right? The guy's so easy to make fun of. He's so easy, but the guy builds hospitals and schools, and, let's say, bloody goody two-shoes. He puts his effort and his money and his time into things that, makes the world a better place, period. You can't argue with it, can't say anything about it. So do the boys do exactly the same. They do everything they can. And we learn quite early on that this motivating force behind this show, behind the spirit of family, behind the spirit of people caring for people, and being honest about our difficulties. Why my wife posts what she posts about her stuff is just so one person, and it hasn't been one person, there's been many, will maybe go get a diagnosis and find out what they have so they might have a slightly better time than the time they had before. That's why we do it. And what this became, I hate the word fan. I've always hated the word fan. And I said this a lot. I always used to say this, as a fan comes from fanatic, and it's a belittling statement that TV went, on the news today, all these, furries came and invaded San Diego. Because that's literally what they think it is. They're dumb as shit because they've never experienced it. Say one of those people with you into a convention, they're like, there's an awful lot of people loving each other here. There's an awful lot of people celebrating what they care about, doing incredibly positive things for other people, raising millions of dollars for things that nobody else seems to care about, right? And being kind to each other. This is the number one thing. We don't care. Fans don't give a flying what your gender, your sex, your color, your costume, well, they might care about your costume. You know what I'm saying? That's not the thing that motivates or polarizes us. It's the thing that makes this thing perfect and beautiful. And the thing that I've learned from this that is fantastic is so instead of fanatic, it became family. So it became SPN family or Supernatural family. And to me, that's priceless. It's an amazing thing because I've seen the things that people do for each other in the name of the show. There isn't a day in my life since I started that show that somebody hasn't gone, you helped me, you saved me, you guys did this, you made it possible for me to get through this, you did. To which there are appropriate responses, which are no, you did it, but we're more willing to help and we're very glad we could be part of your journey or your recovery. But it's a massive and monumental thing. And my son, one of my sons is a type 1 diabetic. And I've had fans that have gone in and bought an entire wish list for a diabetes camp that he had for the year and shipped it. Stuff that you go like, well, holy crap, for no better reason than thought it was the right thing to do. So we tend to be motivational and helpful to each other. And seeing people in difficulty and seeing people having a hard time, because this is a nasty place, this world right now is a nasty place. And helping each other and being kind to each other is a beautiful thing. It's a healing thing, it's a caring thing. And I learned that, I was in a lot of other fandoms before this one, but it seems that Supernatural polarized that more than anything else. It just seems to be this massive movement for people helping each other. And I love seeing that, and I hope we continue that whether the show is on or not. And I hope we find other shows and other people and we share the same way as we did, because it taught me a massive lesson. It's like, You don't leave people behind. If somebody's hurting and somebody's having a hard time, you don't step over them on the way to your journey. You put your hand out and do the best that you can. And it's an amazing thing to get to do. And I don't know many television shows that have that impact on people. I mean, there may be some, but I don't know of any. But I'm proud to be part of that. And, you know, seeing so many of you more than once in my life, seeing a lot of you a lot of times, makes me really happy. You have no idea how happy it makes me. Because there's a familiarity and there's a sharing that we have in this, that we're all part of the same thing. We're not different and a part of. We're together in this, which I like. And any of you that are new to this, you're like, you don't know what the hell I'm talking about, whatever, hang out. You'll find some really good friends. You will, whether you want to or not. If you are alone, if you are depressed, if you have any of the clinical issues that most of us carry on a daily basis, and if you have even some special ones that I haven't heard of yet, if you have, you know, PPD, if you have fascinating nuances, if you suffer from anxiety, if you suffer from depression, if you feel suicidal, if you feel any of these things, there is one unifying point that I'm going to tell you. If you look around, I guarantee you there is more than one other person who feels that way. More than one. And if you put your hand out and say help, they will help you. It's a working fact. It's a provable, immutable, perfect thing that I have seen go on for a very, very long time. Don't go through this crap on your own. Don't go through this crap isolating. Put a funny costume on, come down, and I will make fun of you. If you wear a Castile costume, I will brutalize you anytime.
My question is, for Crowley and Kipling, who do you think you have more in common with?
What are you talking about? I count billions of people. What do you mean? I snap my fingers, you're dead? Oops, sorry. More in common with who? Crowley or who?
Kipling, the character from Doom Patrol. I'm just curious,
Kipling?
Yeah.
Will it be Kipling? I'm drunk all the time? Consumption?
I don't know. I'm just wondering,
I don't have
personality
anything in common with them, apart from I look a little bit like both of them.
If you were just you, if you were Mark Shepard, and
I am Mark Shepard!
in the world of Supernatural, and you somehow,
I am Mark Shepard! I am not in the world of Supernatural!
if you made a deal with a Crossroads demon, what would it be for?
Ooh, Brad Richard without the word! Go write it! Have a great career in television. I've lived in a lot of places on the planet, this planet. Okay, see, you've started me off now. This is the greatest country in the world for a lot of reasons. I'm sorry you're Canadian, you don't understand. And I'm in Florida, so it's really hard to picture here. But this is the thing. What we have is we have hope and we have possibility and we have incredible people. And we have, most of the time, the ability to fix and change everything. And we've always been that country and always been that type of country and that type of people. I've never met kinder people in the world than I have here. Not that they're not kind anywhere else, but this is not a country lacking in raw ingredients. This is a country that's overflowing with raw ingredients and possibilities and hope. And yeah, we go off the rails and we get what we deserve on occasion. And we get to do these ridiculous things that we get to do, and we get to mess with the idea of what is right and what is wrong, and eventually we come out with an answer. And I genuinely live here because this country has afforded me a life that I could not have had anywhere else. This country has provided myself and my family with the ability to do things I could not have done anywhere else. For that, I am eternally grateful. That's why I swore an oath in front of a flag, in front of a president, to uphold the Constitution of the United States of America, and to fight in any shape or form that I can in order to preserve those incredible ideals, those incredible, incredible freedoms, those incredible, incredible rights that we have. But as I was told by the president at the time, who was a black guy, you might not remember him, it was a long time ago, said, it's true, it feels like 70 years ago. He said, yeah, you got all these rights, but you also have these responsibilities. And with that, I truly began to understand what this country is about. When we participate in our recovery, in our growth, in our systems of government, in our systems, in our healthcare, and all of these things, if we participate at every level, this is a better and greater place for it. It's the only country where shit actually changes if you do something. It really does work that way. So, with those responsibilities, I take them very seriously. Those rights I'm very proud to have. The trouble is with most people's exercising of their rights is the rights to say, get the fuck off my lawn. And that's a
Especially
shame.
here.
That's a shame, and that's a shame. Because we're a great people, we're a great country, we have infinite ability. And so that's why I choose to live in the greatest country on this planet.
Thank you.
You get to see Michael J. Bloody Fox, for God's sakes. Tom Wilson, I was hanging out with Christopher Lloyd. How much cooler can life be?
Very true.
Talking about Taxi with Christopher Lloyd. How much fun can that possibly be? Yeah, but there's so many actors I have so much respect for. There's so many people here who I've known for a long time. Zachary Levi, you know, there's all sorts of, like, they're amazing people. I mean, I geek out exactly the same as everybody else does.
Who are you cosplay as?
I don't, because I cosplay for a living. I cosplay as a civilian. I cosplay as somebody who could be bothered to put on clean underwear this morning.
All right, last person to be roasted, or last question.
Hi, I was just wondering,
Stop wondering, it gets really depressing.
Understood, but I know people come up and ask you to sign things a whole bunch of times. I mean, that's what you do for a living.
That's not what I do for a
Besides
living.
you come here, you speak, you sign, things like that. You signed something for me earlier, and I appreciate it. Thank you. I was recording.
Well, thank you, but I was recording. Is this a moment you're actually going to experience, or are we going to wait until you get it on camera? Woo! I'm being messy. Okay, what did you say?
What was the weirdest thing you signed, and what was your favorite, what you thought was the coolest thing you signed from a fan?
Signed?
Signed.
Things that people make or care about or want, or you know, paintings and fun, interesting things. Not things so much. I don't care about the things. They're just a sort of token remembrance of the situation. I actually do enjoy the interaction. You think I don't, because you come on, you're like, he's grumpy. It's not. I actually enjoy it. This is what I like. You know, my dad did it before me. I do it after. My kids love it. It's a special, special thing. You've given me a different perspective on a life that I never knew I could have. Does that make sense? So I enjoy you guys immensely. I will give you grief till the day I die. I will punish you. I will give you a hard time for stupid questions.
All right, thank you, brother.